if the U.S. loses its world reserve status with the dollar, then it will be like losing a war. So saith the orange messiah that everybody voted for, apparently. No shit, Sherlock. Yeah, I mean, this could have been avoided. The dollar becoming worthless garbage could have been avoided by allowing 2008, by not bailing out all the bankers, by not bailing out boomers, because that's really what that was. It was a boomer bailout. It was a bailout for bad investments into companies and to keep a lot of companies that you had control of around. That's what it was. Because it's easy to control a few hundred mega companies than it is to control many tens of millions of small businesses, which is what the country was supposed to be, actually. It's supposed to be tens of millions of small businesses. You know, the idea of the mega employer, yeah, how's that working out for all of you young people right now? It's not working out well at all. In fact, it's almost all of it's scams now. That's why when you answer a job ad, it's like, hey, apply for this job. And it's just basically a scam. It's just designed to get your info and then sell your info to somebody else. And just keep doing scams and do background checks, pay $25. Oh, the job's already filled. What did you expect? You don't grow your way out of something like this. You can grow your way out of this, but it takes time because there's only one way to grow an economy. Only one. Have kids. That's it. You can import people from other countries, but they don't care about the country. They're just here for the money and then they're going to leave. That's what we have. That's the migration problem that we all have. That's why a lot of Americans are starting to figure this out. That the people that are coming here, they're not really particularly interested in growing the U.S. economy. They don't give a shit about the U.S. economy. They're just here for the money and then they're going to fuck off. They're going to go back to their countries. Remember, their country is better, right? That's all those people that come to the U.S. and then they complain about the U.S. and say their country's better. Well, get your shit and get the fuck out. And stay gone. Don't fucking come back. Right? So, yeah, that's what should have happened. In 2008, your boomers should have gone bankrupt. Your bankers, brokers, boomers, billionaires, all should have gone bankrupt in 2008. Should never have been bailed out. But because they bailed them out, they blew this huge bubble up, this huge asset bubble. This ridiculous asset bubble, and created even more fake wealth, bigger fake billionaires, all of this shit. That's all that happened. You didn't grow anything. You just printed a bunch of money. I feel I've been very clear about this on my channels. For the last 3 years, publicly, 3.5 years, publicly, I've been saying, dude, all you did was print a bunch of money. You didn't solve a problem. You just papered over it. Well, now that's coming to an end as, other countries are really starting to figure this out and people are starting to figure this out. A lot of Americans are figuring this out. A lot of people are getting very pissed about this, particularly people under 55 that are Americans that are seeing all this and they're like, dude, none of this is sustainable. No, it's not. No, it's not. None of this is sustainable. None of these giant companies, none of these giant companies, giant governments, giant fucking militaries, giant endless police departments. None of that shit's fucking sustainable. There's no money for any of that shit anymore, right? But how popular would that be for someone to come out and tell you the fucking truth? I'm asking you a question. Go in the comment section. Fucking tell me. How popular would something like that be where someone comes out and says, hey, there's no money to pay any of you people. So first of all, 95% of the military, you're all fucking fired. We're also not doing any more government spending anything. We're not buying any more weapons. That means that everybody who works at the defense contractors, you're probably going to lose your jobs too. Oh, and the defense contractor companies are all going to go away. And there's no more money to just give out so-called federal fucking highway money. So that means a bunch of states are going to have to lay off all their people. This is why you don't do shit like this. This is the ounce of prevention thing, right? This is why you don't do. It's why when you're younger, you can kind of party and drink and have a great time, but when you get a little older, you have to stop doing that, right? You get into your 40s and 50s, you really have to cut back on the party and the drinking because it's going to catch up with you very quickly. Not everybody can pull off Keith Richards. Okay, not everybody can do that. Statistically, most people don't make it. And yeah, you have to watch that. A country's no different. People are, a mass of people is no different. You have to keep that in check. And if you're just going to keep blowing money and getting more government spending and dude, no, it's not going to work. And I don't care what ism you call it. Any of the isms that are out there, dude, if it has a central bank, it's not going to fucking work. You're going to end up with this again. I don't care if you call it a government sector, communism, socialism, fascism. It doesn't make any difference. You're going to end up with this if you do this every single time, because it's not sustainable. You have to have a currency that doesn't change. That's your unit of measurement. If that doesn't change, then no problem. But then what happens is that then there's no money to grow any of your stuff unless you're actually doing something legitimate with it. So, yeah, I mean, it really sucks for, for Americans and for America and for a whole bunch of Americans that are going to be completely fucked. It really sucks to lose that world reserve status, which it's probably going to lose. It probably will, especially as this continues, because they're just going to have to keep printing more fucking money. Why do you think that big, beautiful bill had to be passed? Like, they pulled out all the stops. Why do you think that they had to do that? It's just keep paying the interest, keep kicking the can further down the road, instead of telling the bankers to go fuck themselves, which is exactly what should happen. That's for real. That's what every American should. Like, the only people who want to keep this shit afloat is fucking boomers. I realize not all boomers. I get that. Don't fucking go in the comments and be a dumbass, okay? Like, dude, I get that. But the only people that I run into anymore that want to keep any of this shit around are people over fucking 55. Everybody else is like, dude, this fucking sucks. None of the future that we're building, nobody fucking wants it. Nobody wants to be in a digital fucking prison. Nobody wants to have Palantir crammed up their ass every 5 minutes. Like, fucking nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have every moment of everything that they do tracked and cataloged so that they can advertise a bunch of crazy shit to you that you can't fucking afford anyway. So no, nobody wants any of that. So no, I mean, would it suck? Yeah, sure, probably. Is it necessary? Yeah, probably. And then Americans are just going to figure this out. You're going to, again, if you want my suggestion, you're going to start working, start, many of you need to start looking up, like, okay, what's the backup plan? If the dollar goes away as having any kind of value, what's the backup plan? You better start looking. Okay? I don't care what hard currency you pick, but it better be a hard currency, and you better start thinking really quickly. Otherwise, you're going to have CBDCs and a bunch of fucking gimmicks. There's going to be a bunch of gimmicks. It's just going to be nothing but company store bucks that somebody's going to conjure from nothing. They're just going to create an algorithm and then just pay you in that. And it's just going to be more of the same. More debits and credits, more bullshit. Come on. No. So move past that. I say it's a time to evolve. And drag the boomers kicking, if they're still alive, drag them kicking and screaming into fucking reality, where they get to experience, like, dude, that all that fake shit in the 80s, where it's like, you bought a house and so you became a gazillionaire. You are not a financial fucking genius because you bought a house when Wang Chung was on the fucking radio. I've said that like probably a dozen times, and it's just as true today as when I first fucking said it. You are not a towering financial genius because of that. Time to evolve past that shit and realize that no, none of that stuff was real. It was all fucking fake. You're gonna actually have to do, like, the days of the fake job, Zoom meeting, counting nuts and bolts, the American equivalent of counting nuts and bolts in the fucking Soviet Union, that shit's coming to an end. So prepare accordingly.